Toronto, Indiana. No Kawhi Leonard sitting out the second night of a back-to-back. And Kyle Lowry, first game back after missing the last 6, paying immediate dividends. Toronto takes it.
Look at him, showing his leadership right there, Chris.
Victor Oladipo, not his best game. 6 for 15 from the field, 16 points, hitting that jumper. Indiana takes the lead with the Bojan bucket.
Then Powell said, let's play a little D to get out some easy transition buckets. And then Kyle Lowry has put a little Lowrys on it.
Wait, aren't they the ones supposed to have tired legs tonight after
supposedly
back from last night's game?
But now they're sharing, and they're letting it rain.
Fake news. Okay.
Toronto 10 for 18 from three-point range in the first half. Second half, there's Siakam running the break. One of 8 assists from Kyle Lowry.
He was hanging from the rim.
12 points, 10 rebounds for Siakam. Lowry, we've seen that so much in his career. Look, he's saying he's grabbing my arm, too, and I'm still hitting the shot.
Ooh, is that the surge protector?
Yes, we're seeing that more often, protecting the rim and then hitting the open jumper.
7 of 9 from the floor for Ibaka.
18 points for him. And Chris Boucher knocking it down. Toronto shot 17 for 33 from three-point range. Their bench scored 52 points. And it's been a couple of years that we've been hearing about the Toronto Raptors bench having this kind of production. 8 different guys scoring double figures. They're now 8-2 when Kawhi Leonard sits, and now they're the first team to 30 wins this season in the NBA. That bench, a huge part of it.
Well, think about this. They scored 121 points against the number 1 team in the NBA in opponents' points per game. Mm-hmm. That's pretty darn good when you can do that. Obviously, having 8 guys scoring in double figures is part of it. But when you shoot 52 from the floor, 52 from the three-point line, 94 from the free throw line, you're having a good night.
Yeah, you're having a good night. Everyone's buying into sharing the basketball. And normally, though, Chris, when your superstar goes down, people try to do too much. I just think the way this team, from top to bottom, coaches realizing their roles. So when someone is out the game, someone else steps up, and then you bring back an all-star caliber guy like Kyle Lowry, he just carries his weight.
30 assists tonight for
30 assists, and 8 of them from Kyle Lowry. And something we've seen when Kyle has been out, it's not necessarily that first unit because Fred VanVleet's excellent, but with the second unit, they lack that point guard. To have Kyle Lowry step in without Kawhi is a huge luxury.
Well, it's a huge luxury to have an all-star caliber player back, but a lot of times when guys come back from injury, they try to do too much, where like tonight is Kyle took his time. Only 10 shots tonight, only 6, at halftime. So his first broken play, long rebound. How do you lose a guy like Kyle Lowry off a loose rebound? It's hard to do it. He knocks down one of those threes we talked about. Now here in transition, you get a good half-court stop. You're pushing the ball down court, transition one-on-one defense, stop the ball. You don't stop the ball. You get the and one, you go to the free throw line, knock down your free throw. Now, half-court set. This is the paces I'm talking about. Now you direct traffic, make sure everyone's in their position. You tell the big moves to come set a good screen. You turn the screen slowly. Nice pocket bounce pass so the big fella can catch it and finish the play. That's the leadership. That's the patience of having an all-star type player back like that, not trying to do too much but leading the show.
Certainly the Toronto Raptors leading the way in the Eastern Conference. Big weekend for them. Win over the Milwaukee Bucks and over the Indiana Pacers. Washington, OKC in action as well. Russell Westbrook.
Ooh, okay, all right. Kind of quiet tonight. That was what, leather pants? Jacket?
Yeah, for him, that's subdued.
Quiet, yeah.
The game, loud when he hits this 3 from the pass from Paul George.
I like it.
But the first quarter, it belonged to one Bradley Beal. Paul George, excellent defender. So is Steven Adams. Doesn't matter. 12 points in the first quarter for Beal. Part of a 16-2 Washington run.
You ever think that maybe in Beal's mind, without Wall being there, he's not thinking about, it's maybe John's time to get a shot, so I won't take this shot. He's got more freedom maybe mentally.
I like it, Coach.
Jeremy Grant from the DMV gets 3 of his 17, the and 1. And Otto Porter, welcome back, coming off the bench for the Wizards, providing a spark.
Come on, Otto, they need you. They need you.
Paul George, 20 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. Westbrook, A triple-double in the third quarter. Finished with 22, 15, and 13. But the Wizards see them ahead by 8 and pushing it. That's Otto Porter again hitting a big shot, and Beal stepping back for 3 more.
Well, sometimes you need to go to the bench maybe to wake Otto up a little bit. Uncle Jeffy knocks one down, so it's like the freedom, to Coach's point, everyone played with tonight.
Bradley Beal finished with 25, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. This is just the Wizards' first road win in their last 9 road games. In fact, it's their first win in OKC ever.
Ever?
1-9 franchise record when visiting OKC.
This was a huge win for Washington from the standpoint of when you think about the season, you go, wow, what a disappointing season Washington's having. When you look in the standings, they're 3 games out of being in that 8th spot in the playoffs. So big win for them.
Speaking of those bigs, Jarrett Allen plays big for the Brooklyn Nets on both ends of the floor. And so does Montrezl Harrell for the LA Clippers. I think we're seeing this theme here, right?
More hustle and more hustle.
And the hustle from the young fella. If you don't know his name, commit it to memory. John Collins running the floor for the Atlanta Hawks. That's up next on Game Time. Out of Minnesota, Tom Thibodeau reportedly out as the president and head coach of the Timberwolves. According to the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, Ryan Saunders looks like he's in the running to step in as the interim head coach. What do you think of that decision, 3D?
I like it a lot. Obviously, his dad kind of setting the way for him and being around the franchise pretty much his whole life. And I think Coach being young and understanding what Cat and Wig and this young team's about. Derrick Rose is having a phenomenal year, comeback year, so to speak. He's been a part of that movement, working out with him on days off. So the question for me, Coach, is what advice can he reach out to someone like yourself to help him with in-game coaching decisions, things of that nature? But being able to relate to the players, knowing the system, I think he's ready for it.
First of all, we have to realize that they fired one of the top 5 coaches, in my opinion, in the NBA. Tom Thibodeau is a teacher. He's a game coach. He wins basketball games. So to make that decision, something was going on that we obviously don't know right now. The relationship with Saunders and the owner is the father connection. Flip Saunders was a very, very loyal person to the owner. And the owner, I think, always appreciated it, will never forget some of the things that Flip did for him along the way. I know this. Flip made him an awful lot of money at one point on one major decision that he had to make. And the owner, I don't ever think is going to forget that. Right. And as a result, he's seen his son pay the dues. He respects what the son has done, respects the son and father, and therefore he's given him a chance.
Well, according to the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, their source on Ryan Saunders being who Glenn Taylor wants as the head coach long term. So he's hoping that he can earn that spot. But we also have reports from multiple sources that Fred Hoiberg is in consideration for either the GM or the head coaching spot. So we're hearing 2 names out there. It's interesting because Fred Hoiberg was in Chicago following Tom Thibodeau, now could possibly follow him in Minnesota.
And they have Scott Layden still, I believe,
yes, Scott Layden's
still there. And Scott Layden gets along with everyone.
Yes.
Remember his pedigree, his background, coming out of that San Antonio program, a lot of people were after Scott Layden. So I think I hope Scott Layden's given a chance. If they bring Hoiberg in, can Layden and Hoiberg work together in the front office? That'd be something to look at.
Certainly a situation that is just now developing in Minnesota. But as we see this, you see Tom Thibodeau, like you say, a great coach in the league. Why make this move now at this point in the season?
Well, obviously, we don't know exactly what's going on behind closed doors, but to Coach's point earlier, the way our league is going, Cat has a direct line to the ownership. We know Wiggs just signed his new contract. Most of us around the NBA were saying to ourselves, what's taking this team so long to be further along when you look at Denver and other young teams who are winning and playing top-notch basketball? Lately, they're 5-3, they're playing good. Cat's playing out of his mind. Maybe they wanted to pull the trigger now, Coach, to get ready for maybe some more trades possibly before February.
Certainly an interesting situation that we will keep you updated on as the night progresses.
An Express halftime report is brought to you by American Express, the official card of the NBA.
Giannis and the Bucks trying to make the Raptors fear the deer. Ahead 2-0 in this series this year. But it's just a one-point game at the break. In the first game between these two teams this season, Giannis, Kawhi did not play. Second game, both kind of held under the wraps with Kawhi scoring 20, Giannis scoring 18. And in the first half tonight, Giannis with 18, Kawhi with 17. This is what we've been waiting for, these two star players scoring a lot and being effective.
This is definitely what you want. When you have two great players like this, you want to see them put their talents on display. You want it to be a game where both of them shine. And that's what we're getting in the first half. Giannis is playing well, Kawhi's playing well, and it's a treat. And it's one of those things that you love to see. Here you have Greek Freak ISO'd one-on-one against Siakam. One-on-one, there's nothing really he can do. Siakam is long and athletic, but the Greek Freak has too much space, too much room down here. Then you see right here, getting out in transition, running, taking his time, and you know he's going to finish strong and finish right at the rim. And now he's showing the diversity in this game because now he's leading the fast break. He sees the lane, attacks that rim. So what I like about these highlights is we're seeing Giannis all over the court doing different things. Right here, this is just a grown man rebound, bully ball right after the dunk, bouncing up. And now you see him initiating the screen, goes straight to the left, gets back to that right hand. Giannis can do it all. He can finish on the break, he can lead the break, he can rebound. And the best thing about him is when he sees an area and he sees space, he attacks it immediately.
And those clips are a really good example of it, but Giannis is the one who's benefiting the most. It's been an assault at the rim for Milwaukee in this first half. 28 points in the paint. They're getting right to the cup. That offensive rebound and putback, there's nobody in the lane 6'10 or bigger. They've taken advantage of the fact that Toronto is playing smaller in the absence of Jonas a little bit here.
When you look at the rebounding numbers, Giannis is out-rebounding Toronto's front line 9-7. Is that something we overlook with his game because we're always talking about the three-point shot or whether or not he's scoring in the paint? But rebounding, at times, he's been dominant. This seems like one of those games with 9 rebounds in the first half. Yeah,
he can be dominant as a rebounder. He's also dominant as a playmaker. I mean, it's what makes him so special. He can literally, every time he steps on the floor, offer the potential for a triple-double, and you can feed off of him if he's not scoring. And one of the big reasons for it is because he's got the ability to grab those rebounds we saw in traffic. He rebounds out of his area. He's not a guy who's a space rebounder. He's just going to be bigger than you, longer than you, and go get one.
And that is a great part of his aspect of his game is because we talk about a lot of guys that are two-way players. He's a three-way player. He can score the basketball, he can defend, and then he can be a monster on the glass. He averages 13 rebounds a game. There's a lot of centers in this league playing 30 minutes or more that don't get that many rebounds. So it just tells you how diverse his game is, how many different ways he can help you win. And that's what winning is all about when we start talking about positionless basketball. When you have a guy that you can say, hey, he might can get you 40 or 50 on a given night, but if he's not scoring, he can help you defensively. Oh, and if he's not doing it defensively, he might get you 17, 18, 20 rebounds. That's what you're looking for in a star player.
So much focus on Kawhi, so much focus on Giannis. Kyle Lowry not in this game, one of your assist leaders in the NBA this year. Fred VanVleet stepping up. Great for the Raptors in the first half, but we saw him down towards the end of the half with an injury. 3 for 3 from outside. If he's not back in the second half or is not fully effective, what do the Raptors do?
Well, they'll probably lean on DeLon Wright, and DeLon Wright's a fine young player in this league, but that's a step down from VanVleet, who I think is probably the best backup point guard in this league, and DeLon is not a natural point guard. He has talent, he has size, he has ability with the ball, but I think Toronto offensively takes a step back if they don't have VanVleet, and on top of that, they already don't have Kyle Lowry, so being down to your third-string point guard normally hurts the offense, and it puts a lot of pressure on guys like Kawhi to try to do even more.
And it really changes the dynamic here because they don't have Kyle. Their closing lineup very often is both Kyle and VanVleet. Yeah. So it's not just that they're going to rely on DeLon, it's that they can't put their best closing lineup on the floor at all.
That's a great point, Griffin. We'll look for that in the closeout of this game to see what lineup they do end up going with. Kawhi Leonard bouncing back after that loss to the Spurs last night. And the Raptors pull it out over the Bucks. Nikola Jokic had himself a game. 39 points, a season high for him. And that's not the best part of his game, Griff. It's the passing. It's the ability to rebound, get the extra shot. I mean, just an impressive overall performance for the Nuggets big man.
One of the plays they showed there was a big-to-big Jokic dropping it down to Miles Plumlee. Because Jokic is their primary playmaker and they don't need to keep a point guard on the floor, they've been able to play big-to-big a lot this year. They can play an enormous lineup out there with Paul Millsap on the court, with Juancho Hernan-Gomez, with Jokic, with Torrey Craig. They've kept a lot of size on the court, so at the end of games, they tend to overwhelm some teams on the defensive side, and they have absolutely picked up what Coach Malone is trying to do.
You said overwhelmed. How about this is an underwhelming ending? Jazz head by 3 final seconds.
What was that?
Reggie Jackson throws the interception.
And Blake is overwhelmingly disappointed.
So is Dwayne Casey.
Wait a minute. How many points were they down?
3.
Okay.
About 10 seconds to go.
Interesting. Interesting situation.
Blake Griffin, 34 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. Andre Drummond, 15 points, 18 rebounds. And of course, Blake Griffin did not have the ball in his hands, and he's a point forward. That's the guy you want bringing the ball up the court there, right, Griffin?
It is, and again, it's another example of how badly they miss Ish Smith. They are absolutely not the same team in any way when Ish is not available to them.
That's extreme talent.
How do you learn how to balance a grill on your mouth?
Hard.
Time to double up on the dinosaurs. Sunday, right here on NBA TV, Toronto Raptors, Indiana Pacers. Game starts at 7:30, but make sure you tune in before that, 7 o'clock for the Auto Trader pregame show. And of course, the dinosaurs playing right now against the Milwaukee Bucks. They're just at the half, 1-point game with Milwaukee on top. And we're just going to circle at points in the paint there, Griff. Okay, because Raptors playing good defense in the paint, but still not able to stop what's happening.
Yeah, and if Milwaukee had not uncharacteristically given away 10 turnovers in that half, they've been so good in terms of ball control. They've been really good in limiting opponents' fast break opportunities, and neither one of those were particularly good in the first half, and they're still in the position they're in. I think this sets up rather well for Milwaukee moving forward, particularly if Van Vliet can't come back.
Yeah, for me, depending on who wins the second half, a lot of it's going to be determined by Van Vliet's health and availability.